Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. Wanted to come to you with a mail haul. Recently, in the last, it was about a month and a half ago, Todd at Todd's Bursting Bookcase sent me two great big old boxes of books. All of them are World War II related. And I was a very happy recipient. He's been, if you follow his channel, he's been cleaning out his bookcases and culling the herd, and he has been gifting a lot of the books that he is, taking off of the shelves that he doesn't need anymore. And I was one of those, willing recipients that took a couple boxes of books from him, and I was very happy to get those. These are, I think, only one or two books in here. I had already had, everything else is brand new for me, and so I was happy to have these and add these to my collection. So Todd, thank you very, very much. And again, BookTube, go check out his channel, go subscribe, watch some of his videos. You can go back in his archives and watch his bookshelf tours. You will find that Todd's collection is absolutely huge. He's got one of the best biography collections I've ever seen by an individual collector. It's absolutely great. Anything from American history to world history, world leaders, kings, queens, and a lot of leaders that you would never have heard of. That's kind of impressive to me. His world history collection is impressive. He's also got a lot of detective books. He's just got a massive collection, and it is a joy to listen to him go through the collection and tell you a little bit about each of the books. Go check out his bookshelf tours. They are awesome. So anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get part 2 of the 4 video series on this mail haul from Todd. So anyway, first up was a pretty famous book a while back. It did the rounds, and it seemed like everybody was buying it. This is Flags of Our Fathers by James Bradley with Ron Powers. And this is the other book that I think I might have upstairs, might or might not. I'm not sure. If I don't have it, I'm gonna take it to school with me, because I know there's people that would like to read this. But this was a book, like I said, that did the rounds. A lot of people had this. Cops going by. Don't know what's wrong. You watch Steve Donahue's video, and that happens 3 times every video. That is probably the first and hopefully the only time that's ever happened in one of my videos. We got a lot less crime here in Southwest Iowa. Anyway, I'm joking, Steve. This is from Bantam Books out of New York, and it came out, wasn't that long ago. A little longer than I thought, excuse me. Came out in the year 2000. I'm sorry. Thought it was a little newer than that. But that's Flags of Our Fathers. And of course, that's, I believe, the story of, this is, Battle of Iwo Jima, placing the flag, pretty famous picture there. And I think this is the story of that. Let's see, in this unforgettable chronicle of perhaps the most famous moment in American military history, James Bradley has captured the glory, the triumph, the heartbreak, and the legacy of the 6 men who raised the flag at Iwo Jima. Here's the true story behind the immortal photograph that has come to symbolize the courage and indomitable will of America. So yeah, that's the story of the raising of the flag. So that'll be a good one. This next one got a really neat cover. Kind of glows. Look at that. Kind of glows. There. Catch that. It's The Winter Fortress, the epic mission to sabotage Hitler's atomic bomb by Neil Bascom. And I read a book on this event earlier in the year, but it was a YA book. It was for like a middle grade book. And so not YA, but middle grade book on this. And it was interesting. I didn't end up reading it. I have it at school. I didn't end up reading. I actually listened to it on audiobook while I was doing the dishes and stuff over the summer, and it was interesting. It was interesting. So, this is neat. Look at this. Those are the end papers. So you got maps of the attack on, is it Vemork? Not sure how to say that. This book is from Houghton Mifflin Harcourt out of Boston. It's a 2016 book, so it's a fairly new book. It's got some black and white photos in the middle. Kind of going fast through there, sorry. But it's going to tell that story of sabotaging Hitler's attempt at the atomic bomb. Yeah, pretty interesting story. So anyway, I think that'll be a good book. This next one is very intriguing because when we sit in my middle school classroom, we're talking World War I, World War II. The question comes up every year by multiple kids. Well, why did all those people do that? Especially with World War II, why'd they follow the Nazis? Why'd they follow Hitler? And, I wouldn't have done that if I was there. They all say that, but I always tell them, well, you never know what you would have done. I hope you wouldn't have, but you never know because, and this leads us, as we get to talking about that, it leads us into the topic of propaganda and how powerful propaganda can be. And so this book here is I think, going to be pretty neat. It's called Bending Spines, The Propagandas of Nazi Germany and the German Democratic Republic by Randall L. Bitwork. That's kind of a neat cover, I think. Pretty intriguing. I always think it's neat to study the propaganda of the time period. And this book is from Michigan State University Press in East Lansing, and it is a 2004 book. And I'll read the back cover to you. It says, Professor Bitworks, excellent book, Bending Spines signals a revival of interest in the neglected study of propaganda. His brilliant study highlights the twin dangers at the core of all such programs. First, that propagandists end up believing their own lies. Second, that the targets of both external and internal propaganda become increasingly cynical as ideology and reality diverge. Bitworks' archival and field research is impressive. He did research in the GDR before the Berlin Wall came down, and he writes with authority and deep understanding. I predict that this comparative study of fascist and communist regimes in Germany will be hailed as the definitive work on this subject. And that was from Andrew King from Louisiana State University Hopkins, professor of communication. And then there's a couple other deals from other authors that are writing about the book. But I think that's going to be fascinating. All right, so this next book is by Francis Selwyn and is Hitler's Englishman, The Crime of Lord Haha. Never heard of him. This is going to be a brand new one for me. This is a little bit older book. It's from Penguin. And it is, let's see, this particular volume is 1993. It was originally published in 1987. So it's not as old as I thought it was. I thought it was a little older than that. This says, he was one of the best known names of the Second World War. After 5 years of broadcasts from Nazi Germany, Lord Haha was arrested in 1945, tried for treason, and later hanged in Wandsworth Prison. But who was the real Lord Haha, and what was his crime? Hitler's Englishman is a fascinating new approach to one of the strangest true stories of the Second World War. Francis Selwyn looks behind the voice of the decadent aristocrat who claims to be Hitler's secret weapon of the airwaves to reveal the real-life figure of William Joyce, Irish-American turned fascist bully boy. As Lord Haha, he entertained a huge audience in wartime Britain, and as Joyce, he walked to the gallows, unrepentant, having proclaimed in his last public message, "I am proud to die for my ideals." Okay, so I have heard the name William Joyce. I've never read anything about him. It's all brand new, but I have heard the name. I just hadn't heard Lord Haha. Thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, so that'll be a new one for me. The next one is by James Wiley, and it's Goering and Goering, Hitler's henchman and his anti-Nazi brother. And of course, Goering was like the number 2 guy in the Nazi party, Hitler's right-hand man. This is from the History Press, and it's from, let's see, this printing was 2010. The original was 2006. And this says, and I've not read anything on Goering. If you don't follow the channel, I am more early American history, and so when it comes to like World War II stuff, I know a lot of other people read tons of stuff on World War II. I have not read all that much compared to everybody else. I am more well read in like the American Revolution, the American Civil War, and so don't laugh at me too much when I say I've never read anything. Anyway, this one's on Goering. It says they were the most unlikely of siblings. One, Adolf Hitler's most trusted henchman, and the other, a fervent anti-Nazi. Hermann Goering was a founder member of the Nazi Party who became commander of the Luftwaffe, ordering the terror bombing of civilians and prompting the use of slave labor in his factories. His brother Albert loathed Hitler's regime and saved hundreds, possibly thousands, across Europe from Nazi persecution. He deferred to Hermann as the head of the family, but spent nearly a decade working against his brother's regime. If he had been anyone else, he would have been imprisoned or executed. Despite their extreme differing beliefs, Hermann sheltered his brother from the prosecution, and they remained close throughout the war. Here, for the first time, James Wiley brings Albert out of the shadows and explores the extraordinary relationship of the Goering brothers. Okay, so that will be interesting. All right, next book in this stack is When Tigers Fight, the story of the Sino-Japanese War, 1937 to 1945, by Dick Wilson. Okay. Is that your author? Yeah, there's your author. So this book is from the Viking Press out of New York, and it is a 1982 book. So this book will be obviously all about the Sino-Japanese War, which took place side by side with World War II. Next one's a biography. It's The Fall of Mussolini by Philip Morgan. Another one of those covers that kind of freaks you out a little bit. That's kind of an eerie stare. I'll just kind of hold that there. Anyway, it's kind of a thin volume. Looks interesting. This is from Oxford University Press, and it is a 2007 book. And this says, this exciting new account illuminates both the causes and consequences of this momentous event. Philip Morgan shows how Italians of all classes coped with the extraordinary pressures of wartime living, both on the military and home fronts, and how their experience of the country at war eventually distanced them from their dictator. He goes on to examine how the Italian people responded to the invasion and occupation of their country by both Nazi Germany and Anglo-American forces, and how crucial this period was in shaping Italy's post-war sense of nationhood and the transition to democracy. So that'll be interesting. Again, thin volume, but that's all right. 200 and, let's see, how many pages of actual text? 235 pages of actual text, and then you got the endnotes and everything. All right, so the next 4 books are they're all part of a series, and the first one is, it's a 2-volume set. It's The Forgotten Allies, and of course it's referring to World War II. It says the military contributions of the colonies, exiled governments, and the lesser powers to the Allied victory in World War II by J. Lee Reddy. And this is volume 1. This is the European theater. So you got the flags of, all the nations that are helping out. The next one is the Asian theater, volume 2. So that'll be interesting. Kind of a almost, I believe, like a biography of each of those countries and what they did to help out. And then the other part of this series is The Forgotten Axis, Volume 1, Germany's Partners and Foreign Volunteers in World War II. So there you go. And then The Forgotten Axis, Volume 2. So, says, I'll read the back of this one for you. The mention of World War II German soldiers conjures images of strong, Aryan young men born in Germany and raised under the Third Reich. However, throughout the war, more than 3 million foreigners served in Nazi Germany's armed services, comprising 18% of the entire German force. These non-German soldiers included 1.5 million Australians, 350,000 Sudetenlanders, and approximately 200,000 Poles, as well as Czechs, Slovaks, Norwegians, Danes, Belgians, Romanians, Finns, Bulgarians, and other nationalities. Whether converts, conscripts, or reluctant volunteers, these foreigners served throughout the armed forces and participated in all major operations. This volume offers the first in-depth exploration of the motives and experiences of these non-German German soldiers, providing a new perspective on the military history of the Axis powers. So that's Volume 1 and Volume 2. So, look forward to those. Those will be interesting. Be able to, it's probably not something I will read cover to cover, but, you dip in and out of stuff like that. So that is the end of the first box, part 2 video of the mail haul from Todd at Todd's Bursting Bookcase. So box 1 is now done. I hope you enjoyed this booktube. Hope you maybe found some stuff you'd want to read. So thank you for watching, and until next time, happy reading.